So we should know that there are no sell ratings on the stock, so Wall Street very bullish on the company. So you upgraded the stock to outperform. Target goes to $99. What type of reset are you seeing? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so what I think you're going to see is a nice sales recovery as they have the right drivers in place amid the current backdrop. And so what they did about 2 weeks ago is they brought in the access to their loyalty program. It's one of the best in the industry. It's been around for 10 years with a pretty robust data set in place. And so you're going to see greater adoption in our view of loyalty, greater adoption in our view of digital ordering. That's also going to be enhanced as well by curbside pickup. So at 2,000 locations pretty soon, you're going to be able to pull up, order in the app, click the button, I'm here, the partner runs out, the barista runs out, gives you your offering, and you're on your way. I think these are key unlocks to really help transcend disrupted morning routines amid the pandemic.
Yeah. And Andrew, speaking of disruptive habits or habits that have been disrupted, we had a graphic earlier in the show that said that up until September, about 10% of New Yorkers have returned to the office. Dallas is much higher at 40%, LA 32%. But it seems like we are still a long way away from sort of returning back to full capacity pre-COVID. I just wonder how much you think Starbucks will continue to hurt from those trends. I know people go to Starbucks for their Frappuccino and the fancy drinks, but I would have to imagine a large part of their sales come from people who are just stopping in before work. And if you're no longer going into the office, do you need to still go to Starbucks?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. And you can see I'm in my home office right now. I think that what happens is that obviously you're going to lose that commuter, that incremental commuter in the morning. Now, it's important to note that only 15% of their U.S. fleet is in downtown urban areas. And so the vast majority, 85%, are in the suburbs. And, coffee and morning habits in my routine are morphing a bit. We've heard throughout the industry that breakfast is getting a little bit later in the morning, pretty consistently. And so it may not be when you first wake up, but maybe you have a cup of coffee at home. And then, later in the morning when you just need that break, when you need that coffee break now, it's really the late morning that's picked up quite a bit. And so it's interesting on morning habits that they kind of just morph. But I would say that, because coffee is just so addictive, that habit really isn't gone.
And speaking of shifting habits, I thought one thing that was interesting, of course, you point out closing underperforming stores and Starbucks leaning into digital investments, but also their investments and their collaborations with plant-based alternatives, including oat milk. Tell me a little bit more about that. I've been telling my friends oat milk is the new thing, but tell me a little more about that.
No, I agree. It's awesome. With the plant-based alternatives, this is an area that Starbucks has leaned pretty heavily on, that they were one of the first with soy milk, that later morphed into almond milk. Back in June, they launched the Impossible Breakfast Sandwich as well. The next up is oat milk. It's something they've been piloting since January. It's going to expand a bit more. And, it's not just oat milk as a creamer, but I would expect more innovation as well on oat milk and other plant-based offerings as we go. And so their ability, in our view, to stay on trend and ahead of the curve, I think that's something that will help them gain share, in the current backdrop.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.